Hello, welcome to episode 16. 16, 15. I don't know. I
It's
think it's
15.
15. It's 15. Yeah, it's
Oh,
15.
we got started over.
Oh,
We gotta
no, let's
cancel the
start over.
stream.
Let's start over. We've ruined it.
We gotta ruin it. Next Thursday, guys.
Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of Cosplay Photo Critique. This week we have Neil Bonabon. I was just like, do I say Maison Hikari or Neil Bonabon? I don't know.
Just don't call me by my Don't call me by my birth name.
Neil Bronabon.
Whatever.
You guys are in for I feel like a ridiculous episode, but I hope you like that.
It's gonna be a stream, all right.
Yeah, I feel like
God help friends. God help
the last stream, I know Sarah was tired and Mallow was tired, but I was trying to stay in there fighting, but now this time I'm tired. So
we both took a nap because we're just so exhausted.
And I have all the energy right now.
Neil's gonna be carrying this, which I don't know if that's what we want, but it's what's happening.
He's carrying both of us tonight.
Welcome to the Maison Hikari photo critique stream.
So a bit of I don't know, updates. So one thing I want to get out right off the top, in terms of submissions, one thing I've noticed this time, I had a couple people that were submitting multiple photos. If you're submitting per critique, only submit one photo. If you submit more than one, I will like take the multiple photos that you submit and I'll roll it over into the next critique. But other than that, like, it pretty much like we don't have the space or the time to critique like multiple photos per person. I would love to be able to do that, but that's just not like something we're going to be able to do unless like suddenly we were getting like no submissions overall. That said, that's
these things.
Yeah, so that's not where we're at. So yeah, so just one per stream. Other things. So the survey on the cosplay photo critique is still going on. I hopefully you don't want to change your mind after we do like 2 weirder streams in a row, but you know, I'll see if I can paste that in chat if my like I feel like my button is there. It goes. So the survey is pretty much to fill out what you feel about the stream. Let us know your feelings on it, what you think we could do better, what we do well already. I already got a bunch of submissions from you guys that we're looking for or looking through. There's lots of good things there. I'm gonna go through the details of that in full with all you guys. I think sometime the next stream. I thought about doing it during this stream, but I kind of want to give it like 2 streams to let more people fill it out so we can kind of have like a more full collection of people filling it out. So if you could take the time to fill that out and do so honestly, I'd really appreciate it. It's anonymous, so you can be real with us. We want to take that feedback and try and improve. There's some aspects that I think, like looking through it, that I absolutely agree with. Some things that looking through it make me pretty happy that you guys feel certain ways about the stream. And then there's certain things that I think you guys maybe would like us to change, but I don't necessarily think is going to be able to happen just logistically. So I'm going to go over all that and address it in full next stream. However, if you haven't done that survey, please do that. The other thing I want to say right off the bat is if you'd like to suggest a guest for us to have on, I will post that link in the chat as well. Feel free to submit someone that you think should be on and tell us why. Once again, we can't have it's impossible for us to have everyone on, for lots of various different reasons. Like, there's some people that you've suggested that like we've reached out to already, and just for various reasons, they can't do it or we can't find time to do it. There's other barriers too that exist. Like it's substantially harder for us to connect with people that are outside of our time zones. Like I should say substantially, i.e., not in the U.S. Canada area. But yeah, if you got anyone, feel free to submit that. Especially since I know in one of the little droplets from that I'll give you from the surveys is people seem to be asking for a bit more diversity in the guests that we're getting in terms of like styles of photography. So more than willing to hear what suggestions you have for us for guests there. I feel like there was another thing I was gonna say, but shit, I don't remember.
You should have written it down.
Yeah, I know. I've been so busy, it's stupid. Last time I actually wrote stuff down so I could actually remember it. This time I didn't.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's the only reason why I was saying all that stuff before the stream last time, because I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna remember this. This is gonna be great. So let's get into you, Neil. Let's find out more about Maison Hikari.
Who's Maison Hikari?
Who is
me.
Maison Hikari? What makes him tick?
I am. I'm Maison Hikari. Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of the devil, cars.
Yeah, just cars. So I'm Neil. I don't know if people have already seen the stream once already, but I've been in here once before.
Yeah, episode 10.
Was that episode 10? Well, that was not far.
I believe so. I don't know. Let me look. Continue, Neil.
Anyway, yeah, I'm Neil. I'm an Aquarius. Not that matters, but I started taking photographs like 9 years ago. Been doing it. I don't want to say professionally for 2 years, but I want to say like I've been getting money for it for the past 2 years. Doing photographs and things like that. What's up?
So you are a professional. You get paid. I'm kidding.
Sure. I just freelance. That's it. I'll freelance when I do stuff like that. Other than cosplay, I shoot, as you can see, a lot of car-related stuff. I mainly shoot for Prime NYC, which is more a kind of JDM-centered website that my friends run. They also have an Instagram. Mainly shoot for them. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
So, what made you get into cosplay photos? I know you've been shooting cars for much longer. So how'd you end up here?
So, I actually had a friend, Joe Salem.
Joe Schmo?
The world famous Joe Schmo cosplay. He actually wanted me to shoot a Haku and Zabuza photo set, and that was in November 2016, and I think that was the first time I ever shot cosplay photography in a serious manner. I think before that was actually 2012. I shot my friend who did Margarine Luca. I don't know where those photos are today, though. They're somewhere.
Let's see. I had other questions.
You don't have them written down.
Nope, I don't. That's fine. So, Neil, do you like overlays?
Overlays are the number one thing in my life. There's nothing better than overlay.
What do you look for when you're shooting cosplay? Like, what is it that one gets you excited about shooting cosplay, and then what do you kind of styles are you looking to capture in your cosplay photography work?
So when it comes to styles and how I want my cosplay photography to look, generally, I like to go more towards an editorial style. So more towards the end of I guess you would say like high-end fashion. So like a lot of shots you would see in Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, things like that. Editorials shot by Annie Leibovitz are actually some of my favorites.
Yeah, she is. Ugh.
I'm actually trying to like think of one of those photos I actually really liked. I actually think she shot a group. She shot the Kardashians in like this like French chateau looking building, this interior set, and it looked great. And that's kind of just what I want to go with.
Oh, this photo set, yes.
Was I kind of right with what the interior looked like? It was like a French or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like a French castle or something.
Yeah, whatever that is, that's what I want to do.
The wedding shoot.
Was it a wedding shoot?
Like, well, she's wearing like a wedding-like dress. I don't know. It's big and white and poofy.
So what we kind of addressed now what you're looking for in your shots. Now, what kind of cosplays are like if you had a dream cosplay that you could shoot, what would it be? I already know the answer, but I'm saying it anyways.
Everyone.
Yeah, like I was the whisper. Well, I managed to do one of my dream shoots, which was actually that racing Nero with
That
my
photo
friend's
should be
cars.
cycling through the background as
Yeah,
well.
it was like cycling through. That was one of my favorite shoots I've ever done ever. Funny story about that. I got pulled over by the cops during that shoot, but that's a story for another time.
Oh my god.
I think my next thing that I really want to shoot is a Lancer Artoria in the snow.
Snowshoots.
With a
Snowshoes.
horse?
With or without the horse, either one.
Horse.
You want to shoot with a horse, but oh man, it ups the difficulty level
That's why-
so much.
Whatever.
That's what I was thinking.
So
Figure it out.
like
or you can just manip a horse into the photo.
Yeah.
We'll just prop someone up on a stool.
honestly, that would probably be just as difficult as actually like getting a horse to do what exactly you want.
Yeah.
I've shot now several cosplay shoots with horses, and like something you don't think of, I think, before you do it is like the scale between the horse and a cosplayer, and you're just like, oh shit, I have to shoot this so different because this horse is so much bigger than the
That's
ride.
a big horse.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that photos of horses that cosplay photos with horses that work well make you forget about that aspect a little bit, but then when you're actually there shooting, you're like, oh crap. Yeah, it's just not the easiest thing in the world. So
Yeah, that's why I feel like I can just forgo the horse. Snowshoot. Snowshoot would be cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That's one
I'm
thing.
like snowshoot just in itself. Those are a pain in the ass enough.
They come out so cool though.
Oh yeah, yeah. The last one I did lasted about like 10 minutes before we were just like, fuck it, whatever pictures we got were good enough. We're going inside. But cool. I think, Sarah, did you have any questions for Neil? It's okay if you didn't, because I barely had any. And I'm putting you on the spot now. So
Who is your number one Fate waifu?
God damn it. Now Sarah's been tarnished. She can't be the one on the stream. You know where we've always said that we don't know anything about Fate? That's not the truth anymore. Sarah's been tainted.
Because you know why? Now you're the only one that
Holy
knows
Grail.
nothing about Fate.
What did you say?
He never answered the
Honestly,
question. He's avoiding the question, Sarah.
Oh no, I was gonna
I know,
say
you're being crazy.
probably Lancer Artoria.
Wow, never saw that coming.
Or Alter Artoria, either one.
Yeah, that's a look.
Those words mean nothing to me.
Just think badass outfits and
Basically.
big boobies.
Shocker. Okay. With that out of the way, blah, blah, blah. Couple other things that I want to talk about before we jump into the critique. One, I feel like this is something that I should remind people of every time we're doing critiques. We're not necessarily like,
We don't know what we're doing.
yeah, exactly. like we're critiquing you guys, but like understand who we are at the same time. Like, I don't think we're claiming to be like the number one expert resource in cosplay photography, and like our word is law. So just take everything that we're saying with a grain of salt, and if you don't agree with something we're saying, that is totally fine.
We're leaves with cameras.
Perspective is art. Like,
Yeah.
everyone has opinions. Like, there's no right answer. We're just giving advice based on what we think makes a good photo.
Yeah. So like, I just kind of feel like I wanted to inject that perspective, because it sometimes maybe gets a little bit lost when we forget to say it, and yeah, just want that perspective added back in, because like, man, I think like, and I don't know how you guys feel. Sometimes I'm just like, my own work it's just okay.
That's like me every day. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this photo fucking sucks.
Yeah, so like, I don't know.
Yeah, don't be fooled. Most of my stuff's garbage.
But like, we have our bad days too. So like,
Yeah, and this is all about improving. Don't take anything that we're saying too hard. Another little sneak peek at the survey is that most people don't think that we're being too hard on people, but some people were. And I'm trying, like, I just want to let people know that if they think we're being too hard, we're not doing it to be mean. That's not our goal. If our goal was to be mean,
Oh, I can be
holy
mean.
shit, we could be mean.
if you really want us to actually critique based on what we've done in school, we can load on the mean. Like,
Oh yeah. So
I've had some
maybe we should do
classes
that. Maybe we should do that once. We should have like a hardcore edition. So
like a real critique.
yeah.
Like, I am not gonna like sugarcoat the fact that we lighten it a bit. Like,
Yeah, like we're
you want to really hear like how critique is actually done, like in a class setting. It's a lot.
well, and I don't necessarily think that means that the class version is better, because my God, sometimes like in school class critiques can just be like fucking horrendous. Sometimes, it's not every time, but yeah, just wanted to get that perspective back out there. Crap, I had another thing that I was gonna say, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was that I just want to reiterate, if you're in chat, feel free to critique along with us. We're following chat. We want to hear your opinions on the photos we're looking at. I know there's some like, you guys can't see the high res images, and that sucks. That's something that I'm working on changing to figure out an answer for. That's something that you guys have definitely said you wanted. I don't have an answer for it yet, and I know that makes it a little bit harder to have an opinion on it. But it's something I'm working on, and I will be trying to get something to fix that very soon. But outside of that, feel free to give your opinion in the chat, and we will try and implement it into the critiques. So with that, let's jump into critiquing some photos. Okay, this first shot is from Anthony, and this one's kind of a interesting one, because it is the first time we have had a photo that was previously in a critique re-edited and then submitted again, which I think is really cool. And once we get a little bit into the critique, I'll show you guys what what Anthony submitted to us the first time, so you can kind of get a bit of perspective. But I thought like trying to fully compare it felt wrong, so like I think critiquing it on its own merits first, and then kind of going back afterwards and talking about the comparison is helpful. So Sarah, why don't you lead us off here?
Cool. I didn't look back to see what the previous photo was that was submitted.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go pretty fresh. But the one thing I do remember commenting on last time this image was submitted was I think the background was kind of blown out, like where the clouds are. And the cosplayer was kind of like blending in because the cosplayer is also like very blue and white with the outfit. So I like how she's a little more separated from that now, and now she pops a lot more, whereas before it was like kind of competing with it. But overall, this is a really, really strong image. Like, I remember the first time I saw it, it was like very striking. I really like is this a 19x7
16 by 9.
Oh my god, what am I saying? 16 by 9.
Numbers.
I'll double check that for you.
I can't. Yeah, I can't tell if it is or if just like the lines that the arch is making is giving me the illusion that it is. But I really love like all the negative space.
It's almost a 16 by 9. It's not quite.
Okay.
But it's narrower than a 16 by 10. So it's pretty darn close to a 16 by 9.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I just think overall this is just a very striking image, and it feels like very dynamic, which I really like. The way that she's centered in the middle of those arches and that architecture, like where the heck this was shot, it looks really, really cool. I also really like the I think we're having a Twitch error.
Oh man, seems like I'm still streaming, so I don't think we failed yet.
Okay, on my end it's definitely blank. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I really like the color grading that was done to this, the cool tones and like the purplish shadows vibe that I'm kind of getting. Also really dig. I think it matches her name is Zora, I think, really well because she is like more like a water elemental like killer type person in Fire Emblem. So yeah, overall this feels very cool.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I remember liking it originally, and I definitely think this is an improvement. That the background, the way she's centered in that arch is just really nice. The texture and color in that arch is like just super lovely. I love the kind of like purplish tones in the like inside area of the arch. I also really wish her pose was maybe a bit more dynamic, but overall I still like it. I just feel like it's really in her torso that I think maybe it could be like her torso feels a bit up and down. I love the bend in her legs. I love the bend in her arms. I just wish like if she kind of was leaning forward a little bit and got just a little bit more of an S shape to her body, that could really help pop the pose a little bit more.
Especially because she's like a dancer in the game too, so just kind of accentuating that factor would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with that also.
It's hard because I'm conflicted. I kind of like how light and bright it is in the background in her, but I feel like you get just a little bit lost still with her along the kind of sky in the background. It's just a bit too similar in tone and luminance values. I don't necessarily know what I would do to change that because I feel like if you darkened that sky, I don't know if that would make the picture look better. Like it'd make her stand out more. I just don't know if it'd make the overall photo look better.
I think it's hard because like the tones of the sky and her outfit are like identical.
Yeah.
Sky swap.
It would be really interesting to see this like with a bit more of like a rosy like sunsetty sky to kind of match those reddish tones in the brick.
Yeah.
I still really like it as is, but and I don't know if I'd like that more or not. It would just be really interesting to see.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see that those complementary colors, like the orange and the blue, working more. And then I think also maybe she'd pop more because of that. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, kind of in the nitpicky realm, the arch, not the like the background arch that's directly above her, but the one that's at the top of the frame. I would like to see that have been altered a bit more to kind of, it's a bit more yellow than the bricks that are right above her. And I'd like to see that shifted more to that similar reddish tone. I really love that like reddish, almost purple tone in those bricks, and these being a little bit more yellow. I don't like quite as much. It's not terrible by any means, but I would like to see them maybe shifted a little bit more to the red to match a little bit better. Bring a bit more cohesive feel to the overall image. I also I think I made a comment on this the first time we critiqued this, but the like ceiling of the area underneath the like topmost arch is just kind of, it's uninteresting. I don't know what you do about that. It's just kind of, I don't want to say it's ugly, but it just doesn't look great. I just don't know what you do about it. If you're feeling like really like going over the top, you could try and replace that with some bricks as well. I don't even know if that makes sense. Or would bricks ever be used in that capacity as like a ceiling element? I think that doesn't make any sense. But it maybe would make the image feel a bit more cohesive with it without that like white area at the top, and kind of makes it feel like just one similar arch piece all the way through.
You don't think just kind of burning in that white part would help the image a little bit more?
Yeah,
Because
no.
what I like about the arch is, so at the top of the arch you have the bricks that are coming down, kind of almost vertically, and then they kind of almost join up with the bricks that are coming in towards the cosplayer. So you have these leading lines in it. It's just that white spot, as you said, is like, it almost kind of breaks up the image. I would, or at least I would try maybe burning that in. I don't know if it would help, but it would be something.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with that. It maybe wouldn't fully fix my problem, but I think it would definitely help. I think the other thing I'm thinking is like, and it's maybe just because the rest of the color toning, it makes her skin feel a little yellow. Once again,
Yeah, I
this
think
is
her face feels a little yellow, but her legs me.
Yeah, I would maybe just play with her skin tone a little bit. I'm gonna sample it to see if it's me. No, it's pretty like much in that normal skin tone range that I use. It's not nearly as yellow as I feel like it is, but I think that's just probably because there's so much like red around her that she comes across as more yellow. I would maybe just try and shift it a little bit. But yeah. No. Apparently, I'd be curious if anyone in chat is having problems with Twitch as well. I know Sarah's having some issues with it, and just want to make sure that it's not the stream. The stream seems like it's coming through just fine on my end, but I just want to make sure that.
I think it's just me, because I'm asking
Yeah.
some people and they're saying it's fine. So I don't.
Yeah, it's fine on my end also. Like, I have the Switch open. I have the
Okay.
Discord open.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sarah.
It's just weird to like not see the stream at the same time.
Can you see chat or no?
Yeah, I can see chat. At first, I thought it wasn't working because like no one was typing, but Mallow then said that at first she was the only one typing because I was only seeing Mallow comments, but now it's working. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Anyway.
Okay, sorry about that little diversion there. Any final thoughts on the shot, or should we move on to the next one?
That's still a stellar shot.
Oh, that's right. I wanted to compare it to the previous shot. So for stream,
I don't want to see it, but it's fine.
Sarah's just like, I can't even see it anymore. Here's what the original shot that Anthony had submitted to us. So like, definitely more orange. He put the effort into centering the cosplayer and cleaning up the sky in the background to take out that little extra piece. I think it is definitely a lot more cohesive of an image now. I think it's a lot of subtle things, but an overall really big improvement. So
Oh dang, he really moved that. Wow. I went to the Facebook video.
yeah, so
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Dang, dude.
so I'm like clicking it on and off. Oh god.
The new colors are awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Wow.
Color improvement.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that little tower in the back that we were like, what is that?
So props on that, Anthony. Let's move on to the next image.
All right.
This one,
I think this one is me now.
yeah, this one's from Brett. Neil, do you want to lead us off here?
Yeah. So I see this is a I think this is a Pokemon Bijinka. I think.
It could be like any of like 100 things, so I don't know. Maybe
Right,
maybe
well,
chat can tell us while you're going.
We'll see. We'll see what the chat says. But I'll start off with the things I do like. This, in terms of the color grading for me. Oh, it's from League of Legends. I know nothing about League of Legends. I know people yell at each other and it gets kind of racist. That's all I know. But
we're not gonna go there, but it's fine.
So yeah, so I really like this image and how it was color graded. I see that you got a little bit of a lens flare, not lens flare, more of a light leak coming in from the left. It's a signature that I tend to do a lot. Or just put in a gradient, just be like, oh, there goes. That's the photo. But I guess when it comes to this photo, I like these foreground elements, especially the water on the bottom right. Like how these rocks that the cosplayer is sitting on is really sharp and in focus along with her, and then the background just kind of melts away type of thing. I guess in terms of what I'm not too hot on this image is about is, I guess the pose. It's not bad by any means. It feels a little stiff. I know I was gonna say something else because I looked at these images beforehand.
I can echo off of the pose if you want to touch your thoughts.
Oh yeah, if you want to jump in real quick.
I agree. I think the pose feels like it's like almost there. Like literally, I think if they had just been like 1, 2, 3, and then like project forward a little bit, it would have been a lot stronger. I think the reason why I feel like the pose is a little weak is because like I see the movement of the water hitting the rocks, so I'm kind of like for some reason almost anticipating that movement. But I also understand that this location was probably very slippery, and the cosplayer, had to be extra careful to keep her balance and stuff.
Yeah,
but because it is a character from League of Legends, and I feel like a lot of because they're fighting all the time, I am anticipating kind of more of an actiony shot, especially in this kind of setting. But it's still strong, but I think it would be just even stronger.
Yeah, I think this is a very strong image. A stronger pose would really set this one for the top.
Especially Nar's character, from what I recall, is a little more aggressive. So it just would have been neat to see more of that.
Yeah, I think just kind of like if she could also have her like foot that's most her left foot, it's being cut off. If she could like have that back a little bit, so it looked like she was ready to like have her momentum go forward, that could be really neat. I don't know the area, But so this might have been impossible, but I would loved if you could have gotten just a little bit higher and shot down a little bit more. Not necessarily because I'd want that on her, but because I feel like that little strip of the water line isn't, I feel like it isn't doing much for me in this image. I'd maybe feel like it would work better if it was just water directly behind her. I think that would make the frame just a little bit cleaner. So like, and you're really close, so you'd only need to elevate like a little bit higher, but it's definitely not terrible the way it is. But I just think it would improve it just a little bit. I'm also like, I have mixed feelings on the having the coastline on the right side of the image. Part of me really likes it because I feel like it grounds the image, but also like artistically, I feel like it creates a little bit of imbalance to the photo and makes the right side have a lot more weight to it as opposed to the left side. So I wish it was maybe like a camera moved a little bit to the right as well, so it was just water in the background. I'm not totally sure if I agree with myself on that thought, but kind of more just thinking out loud.
I do think it's interesting that like the coastline and stuff is framing her. Like I find that pretty interesting, but I think because for me the top is like cut off, so you're actually cutting off a lot of the forest in the background.
I
It's
feel like
not wrong
I
or
feel
something.
like if you wanted to frame her with it, she needs to be more on to the like right of the image so it really could go around her. It is framing her, just it doesn't feel like it's necessarily a totally intentional framing. If she was more like directly in the center of that like rounded section that it's creating, then it would feel a little bit more like an intentional framing. Um I also love that water splash though. I think that just sells this image for me.
Yeah, that's a real good water splash.
It's just like
That's a real good one.
it is. I like it's less that it even just adds like an extra visual element, but like more that our eyes read it as water splashing up and kind of brings like this whole like it makes the picture feel more alive, like it was actually captured in a moment versus like a posed cosplayer standing there. Like if that makes any sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I can see what you're saying. Um, yeah, I think still the big thing for me is the pose. Other than that, I actually really like this image. Good job.
I do too. I think maybe and I feel like Neil would totally disagree with me here. I feel like the glows may be a bit aggressive, but
I would turn it down a little
I'd
bit,
turn it
just
down
a
just
little bit.
a smidge.
I think that's because like the gradation from the orange to the blue seems very abrupt.
Yeah.
So, like
Um,
even if they just transformed it and spread it across a little more evenly, I think it'd feel not as intense.
yeah. Fluffy Fox made a comment here that she really liked the droplets on her skin, and I absolutely agree with that. I'll try and zoom in for you guys so you can see it at home. I don't know why that makes a selection every time, but yeah, no, I think that works really well in this image. It just kind of like ties everything together. If she was totally dry, it would feel maybe a little weird. It just kind of is kind of a cool, neat effect that adds.
Because I have seen them before, where like people are in like a natural element, like water, for example, and then they'll Photoshop out like the water droplets on their skin, and I'm like, but that's not realistic at all.
They're in the water.
Yeah, like don't view that as a fault.
Yeah.
That's a good
It depends because sometimes I would feel that way if they were distracting elements. Here they
Yeah.
don't feel that way.
But if it's natural, like keep it. Don't get rid of it. Like you're not gonna be dry if you're standing in the ocean. So I mean, come on.
I'm trying to think. Uh, I, the other thing that I wanted to say, and I feel like I don't know why I didn't mention this earlier, is the lighting is just so nice in this shot, and
It's just mwah.
Yeah, I would.
Great.
I'd be really interested to know what the lighting was like and what time of day you were shooting at for this shot, because it is just a really nice soft light, but I don't feel like it's strobed at all. It feels like a natural light to me. It looks really good. Ah, sorry about that. Any other thoughts on this one before we move to the next one?
I think we're good.
Very nice image.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to the next shot. This one is from Cass. And this is maybe a bit of an example of what I was talking about before the stream of like if you submit more than one, sometimes I'll roll it over into the next stream. This one was submitted to the last stream, and Cass had submitted 2 shots, I believe. So this is her second shot. So that I try, like, if we have space and you've submitted more than one, I'll try and roll them over, but keep in mind that only do 1 shot per person per critique. With that, I really dig the location of this shot. It's really awesome. I'm getting echo. Crap. It's like super hard to think when I'm hearing myself again. I really like how the lines all lead into the cosplayer. You've got the line, the horizon line of the trees, and the line of the rock that both flow into towards the cosplayer, and that's feeling really strong to me. I wish maybe that this shot was a landscape shot instead of a vertical. I know you'd probably miss out on like having that large pine tree in the shot as much as it is. But I'm not sure that's what's really selling me in this image. In fact, I think the shot almost could be stronger without that pine tree. I don't necessarily think it's hurting the shot, but so I kind of feel like that since the cosplayer is kind of giving that, like, trying to get sun out of her face, looking off into the distance, having it be a horizontal shot, it kind of would add to the narrative of like her really looking far off into the distance. That said, I'm not saying it doesn't work in vertical, but like just that's what my mind thinks when I see this shot. I'm just like, oh, this would be a killer horizontal.
Yeah, that was my first when I saw it.
Yeah. Horizontal and wide, maybe.
Yeah. I really dig the toning of like in the trees and on the rocks. It's got this really strong like earthy vibe to the shot. The only thing I would say is I wish that translated into the cosplay as well. I feel like the colors on the cosplayer are fairly saturated compared to the rest of the image, and I don't think it's really working for me here. It kind of makes her pop out, not necessarily in a good way. So I would maybe tone down, especially the reds in the cosplay, just a little bit, kind of bring it down to the same like earthy tones that you have in the rest of the shot. I think that could really make for a strong cohesive image.
Yeah, I agree. I would also think on the cosplayer to bring down the highlights just a little bit, because the left arm is
Super hot.
kind of blown out.
I think it's hard because I think this shot, I think the highlights were blown out, like they were just gone. There's no detail there. The reason I'm especially saying this, if you like zoom in and kind of look at the background behind her, the sky behind her, it's darker behind her. So I think this was a case of maybe in Lightroom there was an adjustment brush used, and the highlights were taken all the way down with that adjustment brush, because I can see like it's darker in the sky right behind her, and that feels
Oh yeah, I can actually see that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
there's a little bit
feels
of a halo
yeah,
effect thing.
yeah, that feels odd, but like I just don't. I think the highlights were just so hot that like there was no detail left to recover in like the arm. At least that would be my guess.
I have to say though, for a photo that was taken in broad daylight, which is literally my least favorite time to shoot, this is pretty damn good. Like I feel like whenever I shoot in that kind of light, everything just looks freaking whack.
Yeah, it's a very solid, I want to say, story-driven photo.
Yeah, I love the
really
narrative.
works with Yona. So, what do you guys think about that tree though? The dead tree.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably would have photoshopped out the dead tree.
Absolutely.
And it's a pretty easy job because there's a lot to work with in the background. Like the sky is so clean, so even like no clouds to worry about. And you can just clone all those trees.
The tris?
The trees. Yeah, I think also because it's like right in front of the cosplayer. Like I know they're not looking at it, but because it's just directly like there, I'm like, why are they looking at this dead tree? I think that would help it a lot, honestly. Because I think also it's like almost centered as well. It like cuts the image like vertically in half for me a little bit. I would have shot that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Another thing that I would like to maybe see is that shadow from another pine tree that's on the rocks there. It's just a bit. I don't necessarily mind it a ton. It just feels a bit dark. I would just brighten that up a little bit. I don't think you need to remove that shadow by any means, but it's just a bit dark. Cool. Any other thoughts on this one before we move to the next shot?
I think it's pretty solid.
Awesome.
Yep, I'm good on this one.
Awesome. So the next one, and I saw that he joined just in time, is from Eric Jaworski. And Sarah, why don't you lead us off here?
Ooh, love me some Marvel action. First of all, I really like the dynamic feel in this image. Like this is an example of like a pose that I feel like I actually can't tell if on 3 they were told to move or they pose like that and it feels that like caught in the moment. But I feel like the pose for the characters looks super strong. Of this Bucky. I think the only thing pose-wise that kind of throws me off is that you can't see the left foot. I kind of wish that they had kind of just like pivoted out a little bit because right now it looks like it's like they're like the knee and below is just gone. So I wish that was pushed out a little bit more, or just angled differently. Can't decide if the famous I forgot what's it called. Andrew, your buzzword.
Dutch angle.
Dutch angle. Thank you.
My famous word, is that what you called?
It's not that bad.
No, I think it works in this
I think
image.
it works.
I think it works a ton.
I think this is an example where I like it. I don't dislike it. Like this is an example where Dutch angle is like it's being used to its advantage. Like it's creating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Momentum.
If you're playing the drinking game, you need to take a drink right now.
We're saying it in a positive way.
Doesn't matter.
Oh. But yeah, that was actually like my first initial thought was like, wow, this the angling of this is actually really, really cool. Like this is like it really makes me feel like this cosplayer is gonna like bolt forward. Like it just helps the pose a lot. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really dig the framing of this shot. Like this is why the Dutch angle works, because like everything, like the framing would not work well if this shot was a horizontal, because you wouldn't get the one hand in the one corner and the one hand in the other corner and the one leg in one corner. It just would feel far more disjointed, not as a Dutch angle. Like the Dutch angle makes this photo work. which is this is what I'm talking about when I'm bringing up Dutch angles, is like you have to make sure that the Dutch angle works. You're not just tilting the camera to be like, oh, this isn't creative. Oh, but I turned it. Now it's creative. This is like, no, I turned the camera here because that's what the image called for. And that's why this Dutch angle works really well. Also, my God, do I ever recognize this section of road?
Oh, you know what this is?
Yeah, this is the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, which is home of like every Midwest convention.
Nice. I want to touch on the color grading a bit. I feel like because it's like, I don't know, it makes me think of like the Winter Soldier movie, which is kind of like a little more grungy feeling. I think it'd be cool to see this take it a little bit further color grading wise, just to like, because the pose and like even the where they shot it is like really strong. So I think playing around, getting a little more adventurous with the color grading would like really bring it home. But I think it'd be interesting to see it just kind of like color wise touched up a bit more.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat with Sarah. The pose, the angle, how the photo is taken is great. It's just color grading. I think
if you just desaturated those greens. Desaturate those greens. That could look really cool in this shot.
I think that would more be along the yellows.
And like some like dodging, burning, just something. Just to make it like pop a little bit more. Right now it just feels like a very like clean, simple edit, but I feel like this image it's asking for something.
This is asking for a composite.
Okay, not all of us are Maison Hikari photo.
This needs some sweet overlays.
More dust overlays. Actually, that'd be really sick.
It would. I can't remember if either of you two said this, but like, I wish their left leg was just a little bit of a different angle, just so I could see just the hint of the foot.
No, I said that. It was the first thing I said.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm trying, Sarah. I'm trying.
We're tired. Yeah, it's like literally the only thing about the post for me that isn't working is just that foot, because it looks like it's amputated.
If I'm gonna be really nitpicky, which I am, something that just like mildly annoys me for stupid reasons is you've got this wall, and it cuts off at the very top of where the wall is and the very bottom of where the wall is.
No, I would have cloned it.
And it's a super easy clone. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about in case you don't.
I feel like I would have just cropped it.
Yeah.
No, but they would have lost part of the left hand though. It'd be cutting it really close.
You've got this section right there, and then this section right here. And just it would be so like it's a super easy clone, and just it's just like one of those stupid things that like.
I think that it's drawing attention to itself though, because we have such strong like lines going through the photo, and then that wall is the only thing that's not continuing those lines. So it's like it's pretty apparent that it's not filled in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, any other thoughts on this one before we move to the next shot?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's move on to this photo. This one is from, gosh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna massacre your name, Jung. Hope that's right. Neil, why don't you take us off on this one? I feel like this image is kind of in your ballpark with the like graphic design overlays.
With the graphic design overlay.
Yeah.
All right. Is this Idolish 7? Jen just kind of went off in the chat. Yeah, I'm guessing
it's Idolish 7.
Idolish 7.
Sure. Whatever you guys say it is.
I know. I know nothing about I7.
Me either, except they're all like beautiful boys.
They're just just a bunch of dudes just hanging out, singing and dancing. Just
I can
Oh,
third this.
okay.
I do not know anything.
All right.
Fine. The new
So I'll start off. Actually, wait, I just blanked out. Actually, kind of.
Are you so distracted by the Doki Dokis?
Yeah, I just got distracted by the chat real quick. But as for the composition of the photo and the color grading, it's pretty. I actually do dig it. I do. I have to like think about it for a bit. I really like how it kind of has this purplish hue to it that really pulls it all together. Um,
Really nice.
the one thing that's kind of bothering me is up at the very top where the hand is, the frame is cut off.
Cutting off the fingertips.
Yes, it's cutting off the fingertips. That was immediately kind of the first thing I saw, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
Other than that, technically, the like, whoa, I just butchered my words, but from a technical standpoint, the cosplayer is in focus. Everything that needs to be sharp on them is sharp. I'm trying to see. Like, there's none of the blacks or the shadows are like crushed, and there's no ridiculous highlights or anything. It's really just that one hand being cut off. And what do you guys think about the positioning of the cosplayer in the frame? I actually don't mind that they're kind of in the center. Um,
I think the crab is a little only because like they're not in the center, but
Yeah.
they're really close to it. Like I kind of wish if they either were in the center or little to the right.
Yeah, it feels like it's so close to being in the center without being in the center that it feels off to me.
all right.
Also, I think this is a time for some Dutch angles in the chat.
Is this technically Dutch angle?
Yeah, it is.
It's like
This is a Dutch angle.
But it's also shot wide.
We're counting it, Neil.
I'm a little confused, or is it warped because it was wide angle?
I think this is Dutch angle.
Okay, yeah, my brain's like I can't. Now that I look at it, I'm like confused because like the wall is like tapering to the left.
Yeah, but if you draw like a line through the cosplayer's center of balance, like it's not straight up and down. It's angled.
All right.
I know a Dutch angle when I see one. Trying to tell me this isn't a Dutch angle.
Yeah, just reminding everyone on the stream, we don't know what we're talking about.
We say Dutch angle so many times.
I've never even taken photos in my life.
We're just gonna, if anyone's playing the drinking game for this, we'll just start saying Dutch angle every photo. Just kill everyone.
All right. What I did was
the graphical element.
I was gonna get to that also.
I think it's cool, especially for these like. I mean, I don't know anything about Idol or Seven, but when I think of any kind of like idol anime and people add like those like fluorescent like neon light effects or whatever, I think it's a really cool graphical thing to add to photos. But I think the layer style that these were set to, I wish they were glowing. Like I wish they were like, if you're gonna do kind of like this neon light motif thing, like you gotta like make like take it there, not kind of like
set it to like overlay blend mode.
Yeah, because I feel like it's at overlay or soft light or something, but it needs to be on like screen and glowy.
Yeah, just like duplicate the layer a bunch on overlay. Like just play around with it.
Yeah, like go a little crazy with it. Like sometimes like when I try to do this, I'll look at photos where people paint with lights over a long exposure just to see kind of like how it's actually captured on camera. Because it is something that's kind of hard to emulate. The other thing is this. I mean, this is me just being a typography freak because like my background's in graphic design, so I can kind of be like a typography Nazi. But I'm not totally feeling the typeface that was chosen. I think because it feels like so fancy and Victorian, and that's not like this is kind of more a futuristic feeling. So that's kind of
it feels like it's got that like neoclassical look to the like the outfit. But
it's so
like
futuristic feeling that.
But the font doesn't quite fall into that.
Also, this is another nitpicky thing, but the 2 lines of text.
I was gonna say, the baselines aren't the same. That was driving me nuts. While we're on the graphical elements, I really like them in concept. They're kind of like there's a lot of areas where they're like a little sloppy though in this image. And I think if you clean them up, it could help a lot. Like the lines, and I'll show for chat. I don't know why it always makes a selection. Like they're not going. They're kind of trying to give the illusion that they're going behind the cosplayer, but they're not like quite clean enough. To do that, like they overlay the cosplayer a little bit in the areas. And like they're just not quite right. Like if you just used a layer mask for that, you could spend that time and really make sure like it's a very small area you need to mask out, so it shouldn't take a very long time.
Yeah,
there's also a quick and easy fix. Yeah, there's also some like weird wonkiness to the lines, like in this section where like the one doesn't connect at the bottom. I also like it, there's not like a consistency. Like this one almost goes to the top of the frame, but this one doesn't quite go. I would like to see them like bounce off like the top and bottom of the frame a little bit. I think that would look neat. I don't know. There's just some like small areas with the line that I think you could clean it up a little bit. Also, I think maybe just if you spaced the 2 lines out from each other a little bit, they're pretty tight. And I would like to see them spaced out just a little bit. I think it could make it feel a little bit more interesting.
I'm seeing some like, can't tell if it was intentional or not, but do you see like those faint lines on the ground too, like on the right?
Oh yeah, like the lines in the concrete.
Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I think maybe they're not supposed to be there. But I think it would be cool if they were there and like maybe like color just to like carry through like that the graphical element throughout like the entire image and not just kind of like an overtop overlay.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool if there were more of these lines. It would also be really cool if you took those same lines and instead of put them in the air, put them on the wall in the background.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
That would be really cool. I think then you do like 2 thicker lines. That could be really neat.
So I'm actually looking at the key visual for the Heavenly Visitor Eilish 7 thing. And yeah, so it has a lot of these very thin purple lines going through it. The location is spot on. It's supposed to be like kind of this concrete
oh shit, you're right.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, so it looks
if you have a link to that, you should post it in chat.
We just Google it.
Yeah, I'll tell people to Google it. Heavenly Visitor.
Also, I can't tell if this is actual art or fan art, actually. Oh no, this is it. Okay, no, yeah, it's like the album. I can post it.
Yeah. But I also agree with the whole putting the lines on the back wall for the graphical elements. That would be cool too. Have a couple of lines floating out in the front as kind of like a foreground element. What else can we say about this other than the graphic design parts?
Okay,
I think that was really like my number one thing,
so,
and also the hand.
Yeah, so
I emphasize that like we're nitpicking on the graphic design parts, but like only because like it's a hard thing to get.
Yeah, right. that and I think we key in on it because like both Sarah and I have graphic design backgrounds, and Neil.
Yeah, I have a degree in graphic design.
Well, welcome to the graphic design podcast.
Surprise, guys!
I don't make any money from it, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's just Yeah, it's just like kind of like it's a hard thing to get right, but it does require a lot of like more attention to detail than you think.
Yeah.
I guess.
So the other thought I had on this image is I think if the cosplayer had flipped this pose, the light's coming from the right, and I think if they flipped it, or at least flipped which way their face was facing, the lighting would be softer and more even on their face. I think that would just look a little bit nicer. Just because like the side of their cheek is being lit really well. But I'd like to see their face be filled in with light. So if they had their face, instead of looking to the left, they were looking over to the right. That could help with that.
We're talking about food.
Someone's hungry.
Just gonna get totally distracted by the chat. Talk about food. This is why I eat before the stream, Sarah.
I'm gonna get some beef patties after this.
Whatever.
Great.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we just tank?
Just want to say to Jung that I can't wait about food today. Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to this next shot then. Okay, this one is from a someone who's been submitting a bunch in Kelvin. So thanks for.
It's a long. Where's Mallow?
I'm sure she's here somewhere. Just give it
Where's
like
Mallow?
give it a second for the stream to catch up. So
is this Zelda?
It's not.
Is this?
No, it's definitely the character Zelda.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
Smash.
My bad.
So.
Love Smash Bros.
God damn it. I like this photo. What if that was just what we said? Just like, I liked it. Cool, next shot.
Now, because I already have a nitpick.
Oh, I mean, they're there. I'm sorry, I'm tired, guys. I'm trying.
Stop.
I'm
Stop
trying.
You know, there are people who don't have beds and they're not able to sleep. They're outside of my corner right now.
That's freaking dark, man.
Wow, it's got real.
Yeah,
Let's move on. So, I really like the colors in this shot. These like teals with the like kind of the maroonish reds and the blues on the cosplay.
Like mallow green.
I don't even know if they're quite mallow greens. They got the real like they're more saturated teal. They're cool. They look good. I like them. I'm not totally sure. I think the dust is an overlay. I'm not quite sure I'm feeling that for this shot.
I think the dust is a little strong.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. There's an awful lot of dust.
Well, I think my problem is that the dust isn't blurred. It's like perfectly in focus.
Yeah, that's probably it. I also kind of there's that like bokeh like dust that's on the right of the image, and I'm definitely not feeling that. I'd just delete that overlay layer if it were me. So there's a weird thing going on in this image. I think the cosplayer is actually looking right into the camera. But yes, I do. But I think because the light for the camera was so close to center, but just a little bit off because of where that specular highlight is in the cosplayer's eye, it makes them look like they're looking to the right instead of right into the camera. Now, I could be wrong on that, but that's how I'm interpreting this when I've kind of zoomed in on the eye and looked at this. And that's really throwing me off. Like, I wish that the strobe was taken and maybe moved to the right just a little bit. The lighting on the cosplayer is maybe just even a bit flat. because of the position so close to the camera. So if you just moved it a little bit more to the right, you'd probably like have the catch light in a place where it doesn't feel quite as confusing. Um, I also like, I'm digging the pose. I want this shot zoomed in more though. Like even just playing around with the shot like zoomed in on my computer screen. Like if you had Link filling most of this frame, like maybe even don't like center this image. Um
Oh yeah, I'm actually doing the same thing right now. Kind of set it to either of the like 1/3 lines,
yeah.
either do left or right. I actually like it on the left more.
Yeah, I'm playing around with that too. And it just feels a little bit more powerful to me. Um just I like that. Just I think the biggest thing is like the headspace feels like I don't know why it feels a little weird to me in this image, but it does. I feel like I've been like nitpicking the hell out of this image, even though I kind of like it. So I'm gonna switch over completely, from like that nitpicking to say that I actually really like how the light behind the cosplayer feels like it's streaming in. Um, it's maybe a bit too well. It is a bit too hot because he blew exposure like on that leaf and on the back of the hair. But I like the overall vibe that that light coming down creates in the image. Mallow, maybe just to fight us, is like, I would like to see this image zoomed out a bit. Fight us, Mallow. Fight us.
All right, I'll zoom out even more. Oh, wait.
zoom, zoom, zoom out
I think
past where the image was
if it
taken.
was stepped back more, so you could actually see like the entire sword, that would have been a pretty dynamic.
Interesting. I wonder if maybe it wasn't not even if you zoomed it out more, but instead of doing a horizontal crop, you did a vertical crop. Would that?
I was gonna say I would prefer a vertical crop for this kind of pose, only
Mhm.
because I feel like the horizontal negative space isn't really doing anything for me personally.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're going for. If you're going for kind of that cinematic shot, zoom it in and keep that same horizontal crop. But if you want to have it kind of really capture kind of the feeling I think you were going for in this image, a vertical crop probably would have worked a little bit better.
Is it ethereal? Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty ethereal. Um, I think the biggest thing to me is I really like the colors in the shot. Like that's the area I keep on coming back to.
Yeah, those greens and reds are just like this is a really good example of complementary colors. Like the toning of them are working.
Hmm.
Because I think sometimes there's a misconception that if they're complementary colors that they're bad, or that it doesn't work. But if they're toned correctly, like they can really just help make the image like so strong. And this is like a perfect example of these like very blue greens with like that deep jewel tone like maroon red color. It's just very nice.
So thought you guys.
Nice.
Normally I really like the lifted shadows. I think do you guys think they're maybe lifted a bit too much? Especially in like the leaves in the background?
Yeah, I was
Yeah, a
gonna
little
say
bit.
there's areas of this photo that I would probably burn in a little, like portions of the left, maybe some lower portions of the frame. I don't think where else. I think that's it for me, honestly.
Yeah, and maybe if you photoshopped like in the bottom right corner, if you photoshopped out the highlights that we're showing in this image with kind of like just where that sunlight's peeking through, kind of creates that bit of dappled light, but there's not enough dappled light there, so it kind of feels a little distracting. Um, so I'd maybe just Photoshop those specific spots out. You guys have any thoughts on this one before we move on?
I think I'm good on this one. Yep.
Okay, and with that, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Oh boy.
And once we're back from that, we're gonna do our Q&A again. So hold tight for 5 minutes while we take a quick break, but we will be back shortly. Yes, they're gone. Okay, I got the timer started, so okay, we got 5 minutes, so Mellow, Andrew has to poop. Oh man, I'm not muted. Oh shit, they're hearing me. Oh lord. Oh lord, now they've heard everything. This is awkward. Lol. They can't hear you guys, which is even funnier. Hold on, let me mute that. Let's ignore all of this. This is just a beautiful production job I'm doing tonight. Thanks guys for not like hating this, I think. Well, at least not telling me that you hate this. Okay, let's actually go on a break. Hello and welcome back. uh, sorry about that stupid snafu on my
Sorry.
part. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Canadian.
Yeah, I borked that one. So my mouse has a double clicking problem, so I apparently double clicked the mute button when I thought I single clicked. Whoopsies.
Uses.
That was fun. Okay, so now we are going to do a Q&A time. So this is our second time doing it. I haven't really changed the format, so if you saw it last time, it's the same thing. However, if you haven't, how this works is it's going to be answering your guys' questions. So whatever you guys want to ask, we'll answer within reason. Don't be stupid. And we're gonna do a 10-minute timer starting now. I'm gonna try and pick the questions, and we'll throw them up in here. So there we go. Timer started. Timer's clicking down. Let's see. Someone asked, since to start things off, is how is Otakon?
Otakon was...
I don't think I would shoot there again. I would go to hang out.
It's very hard to shoot at. Like, if you don't have a costume that doesn't really match the very limited, like, shooting areas, it's just hard to make it look, like, good, or at least, like, or maybe I just have really high standards. Now, I don't know, but that's why I do, like, kind of, I do the, I'm gonna choose when I'm gonna shoot, because I just want to make sure that what I shoot there will be good, and not kind of like a forced, like, I wouldn't shoot like high Q at Otakon, because like it would just look really fucking weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is hard
But I
to
mean, yeah. I had a fun time hanging out with people though, so.
I didn't go, so I have no opinion.
Sucks.
So with that, since I can't answer it, the question is, would you ever do the critique, live, like at a con or something?
Oh my god, that would be shit. That would be so funny. Like a panel. I'm drunk already.
They all recommend us as guests, so we can go to different cons.
Yes, yeah, we would. I think we would totally do it. I don't know how the hell I would produce that though.
I feel like we would just sit at a panel and just kind of look at photos and be like, "This sucks."
Like literally, we just exactly. I think it'd be.
Yeah, but if you guys would like to see this at a con, like, I don't think we could submit this to a con. I don't think any con would necessarily. Maybe some would take it seriously, but like if they saw that as like suggestions to have us on, then I think that could be a real possibility. I would not be against doing this. I've always wanted to do a photography panel at a con, but.
It's very hard to get them approved though, because they just don't view photography as the same way as like cosplay workshops. So no, I'm not just saying this to get my butt to a different con. Like this, it really is hard. So it's like if it is something you guys are interested in, like suggest it, and we can see what we can do.
Okay. Trying to think of any any real questions that I've followed through. Mallow's like, do you slurp ramen?
Yes, I do. I had ramen today. It was great.
Oh, I want ramen.
Well, you saw a pig today, so that's.
I did see a little piggy.
Mallow asking all the hard-hitting questions. This one is, who is your waifu?
Oh, we already discussed this.
Well,
earlier.
only for Neil.
I don't have a waifu.
For people
Come
that
on,
miss,
Sarah.
my waifu is Lancer Artoria.
I mean, Saber
Nice.
is best husband,
Nice.
no. She's a female, so I guess that kind of counts. I don't know. I don't really have
Andrew, put your toys away.
obviously saw that coming.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? Any tips on color grading / color toning? That is I feel like a complicated question, so maybe let's try and parse that down into a quick answer if you can.
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment. Color balance, selective color layer, and curves if you're brave.
Yeah,
are best friends, and you guys should look at not to peg us as cosplay photographers, but you guys really should look at editorial photographers for color. That's where I get all my inspiration. And then literally just emulate it. Just try to copy it. That's the only way to learn to do it is to copy it and then make it your own.
Yeah.
So
and oftentimes there's two routes. You're either going to play it too safe or when you start off, or you're going to fuck it up. And
but it takes practice.
I think you learn faster by fucking it up first than playing it safe. So experiment, get crazy with it. You don't know. I'd agree with that though. Adjustment layers are your friends. Color balance, selective color, curves. Those are all. I
think color balance is a good beginner way.
Color balance definitely is. Yeah, I really like color balance. I would hesitate on hue and saturation, though. I think that one can get ugly real fast if you don't know what you're doing with it.
Yeah, just try to avoid oranges in your skins. That's really it.
Yeah. This one, let's see. The next one is going to be, what do you guys do in your free time? Free time.
I like sleeping and eating.
Yeah, honestly, like, so much of my time is like eaten up these days. Like, my free time is photo editing most of the time. Yeah, like, I'd love to say I do much else, but like, I just started going back to school, so like, I like don't know what free time is anymore. Like, that's
I never stopped going to school. Rip.
Someone asks, is there any photographers the three of you look up to? I'm gonna give my
or in just in general.
Yeah, that's hard. Like, I've got a couple. I'm gonna give like a quick 2 in cosplay and then 2 outside of cosplay. 2 in cosplay. One is this lady over here. She's always been one of my cosplay photographer senpais. True facts.
Oh my god,
and then,
same. The world famous Sororo days.
Brorio gains. And then Elf, Alive Elf is another one of my absolute favorite. And then outside of cosplay, 2 people that I really look up to are Von Wong and Danny Diamond.
Oh yeah, Danny Diamond.
I love Danny Diamond's like processing and just how like his natural light. I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
All the time. Okay. Cosplay wise, for me, I second Alive Elf. Other 2 I really look up to is Muse and Bunny Twan. They're both all 3 of them.
Bunny Twan is great.
She's
all
amazing.
3 of them are West Coast photographers. And then another photographer actually is their East Coast is Vissy Juice. Vissy Juice and Bunny Twan are so good at like the narrative shot. Like if you want a photographer that will tell a story, it is them. They are so good. Oh, and then there's also like Rio 65 or 50.
Oh, that dude's nuts.
Yeah, dude, their stuff is amazing.
It's bonkers.
Yeah, it's insane. Professional photographers, I don't follow a lot, but actually I'm not very good with the names. I mean, Anna Leibovitz is obviously awesome. Everything she shoots for editorial shoots is just fucking crazy. And then I follow this person on Instagram called like
Instagram.
Like Hobo Pia or something. I can't pronounce.
Yeah. She's like a Russian photographer and is bonkers.
First off, you blow your fucking mind.
Neil, do you have any people you looked up to?
Oh yeah. I wanted to also second Bunny Twan. Her stuff kind of actually pushed me into doing cosplay photography because I remember seeing one of her sets like 3 or 4 years ago and kind of just being like, holy shit. That's wild. I kind of want to try that. Another person would really like their work is Apple. So that Apple Rogers,
Ooh,
you know, that
I think Apple's been
nice
chilling around in the chat.
nice to work. Yeah, he's probably there somewhere. Professionally, I mean, I've already brought up Annie Leibovitz, but another one would be Irene Rudnick. You know, their stuff. And then there's the war photographer Robert Capa, who kind of got me into photography in the first place. Shame that he died really young for stepping on a landmine, but you know how photography is. You step on a landmine, you blow your leg
I mean,
off.
in cosplay, you also cosplay photography. It's pretty easy to step on a landmine.
You're not wrong.
No, I'm not. This one I thought was kind of. I started reading it and it was like, and then I got to the end and I thought it was hilarious. If you guys have a Patreon in photography, what would be their tier be? That was worded awkwardly, but like, what tiers would we have for our Patreon? I think Neil would have the sexy selfies tier.
Yeah, for $500, you just get Polaroids of my feet. There's definitely people who want that. That's my $500 tier. For $10, it's just photo. You get my presets, I guess. I'll do presets. Yeah, and I'll do lewd shoes for $500.
Kill me.
Okay.
Doggo tier. Pupper tier.
Puppers.
Anything with doggos.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. If you guys have a one hit timer, I'd say if there's one final question that flies in the chat, I'll get it. If not, we'll move on. So give it like a hot second. I saw a question mark and I realized it was Neil just saying +1 for foot fetish question mark, and I'm like, that's not a question. No. Chat, you got this.
I was like, I hate this. Same.
The one was, how do you keep the catch light on your head so perfect?
It's amazing.
It's just so shiny.
What kind of diffuser are you using?
Okay, I think we've kind of finally got a good question. Let's just do a quick one for this. Any tips on directing cosplayers? That's an actual question that can be actually answered. God, I'm so bad at this.
Well, I feel like I'm not like in terms of like how to make them feel comfortable or like how to make them pose better. I guess I'm just like this question could be viewed in a lot of different ways.
I think it's
probably posing.
Those two things kind of work hand in hand together. If you are able to make the cosplayer, if you're like comfortable around the cosplayer, then it's easier to help them pose and things like that, because no one wants to be kind of stiff. I feel like a stiff cosplayer and like stiff poses can ruin a photo shoot. So I think it's just really all about breaking the ice, and I know that can be really difficult for some people, especially if you're an introvert like me. Like, I am a heavy introvert, despite what me at a con is like. But it is really just all about talking. Like, you just...
I constantly talk when I'm behind the lens shooting. Like, even if it's the most like pointless words where I'm just like, yeah, that looks good, great.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's
constant
awesome.
Communication is number one.
Yeah, like there's nothing I think worse than if you're shooting and you just shut up and you're just like clicking away and the cosplayer has like zero like feedback from you. Like, that can be kind of awkward. The one thing I like to do is, especially if the person is on the newer side of things, I try to do, like, if there's a pose that I want them to do, I will do the pose first. Like, one, to just kind of like even figure it out, but two, give them kind of a reference, and three, like, I think it just like allows a cosplayer, like, if I'm asking a cosplayer to do a pose that might be like a little like I don't want to say uncomfortable, but what
Well,
you know, well, I meant
uncomfortable.
like if I'm doing a pose where it involves like me being like I'm going to be the one that is now sticking my butt out in this pose to show you that like hey like it's just for the pose, like it's not that weird. It also kind of helps break the ice, and just makes the shoot more fun. No, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
mean
try.
etchy. No,
Meow meow.
no,
Edgy? What? Nice. That's what Fate was before it got famous.
Absolutely not.
no. All right, with that, I think let's roll on back to the Kratok.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Okay.
what? Oh.
What were we doing? What do we do
I don't
here?
know.
I
What are we
don't
talking
know.
about?
Hey,
This?
let's get back into this one. We're gonna go back to an image, and this one is from Chris, which I'm pretty sure he's not here because he's driving to like San Japan at the moment. So you will not hear this live. But Sarah, do you want to jump into this one?
Yeah. Okay. So my first reaction to this is, I really
There's the
love.
sirens.
There's a siren. I
Is that
really love
me?
the
Yeah, that's me.
colors. That's you. Someone's dying. It's fine. Okay. I really love the cosplayer's pose and her expression. Like, I really love how serene and like it has a very moody feel to it. Like, I think it helps because she has kind of like the devil horns and her makeup's a little bit like on the darker side. But I like kind of like the moodier character, but it still feels like really relaxing overall. I feel like we've been talking about overlays a lot in this critique, and I think this might be an example for me where I think it was taken a little bit too far. I know Chris has been experimenting with like overlays in his photos, and he's produced some like really, really stellar stuff, especially from Colossal Con. But I think in this case, it's I think there's too many. Like there's like some dust and there's some bokeh. There might be some like light leak overlays. I can't really tell. I think it's a little overkill. Like it's kind of like got that. I don't know. Like on Instagram, they call it the faded look, but like when you put like a color layer on top and then you put it on lighten and then you lose like a lot of the details. Like I feel like that was done here, and I kind of wish it was toned down a
Yeah, I
tiny
think if you
bit.
just masked out a couple of those like areas, like the kind of the bokeh ball like overlay that's over her
Yeah,
left arm, the one that's
and
over her hand.
The umbrella.
yeah,
Yeah,
The
it's just
parasol also.
kind of distracting, and it's not really adding a whole lot.
the ones that are in the corners of the image, and I think the like orangish one that's like right over her arm are really nice.
Yeah, those are nice, but the white ones are just a little too much for me. And also with the dust, I like the dust a lot, but I think this is an example where like some of it needs to be masked out, like on her face especially. Like there's a speck like on her lip, by her eye. Um, it's just yeah, just kind of just like masking those bits out a little bit.
Yeah, I also think this shot, like, there's too much headroom in this shot. Um, the top of the image, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much white. Like, it's not pure white, but like, there's not like really there's no detail in it.
Yeah, there's no information in the sky basically.
Yeah, it's not like 100% true, but it's close enough to being that it's like, well, whatever. I would crop in that sky a little bit, probably so that you have like her head a little bit closer to the top third of the image. Just kind of makes the image a little bit cleaner. I think really the biggest thing is like cleaning up those overlays a little bit. Like I really like the color and the mood they bring to the image, but agreeing with Sarah that they're just like a bit too heavy-handed.
Overlays are great, but sometimes I mean I've gone overboard before, and you're like, "Fuck, I went way too far."
It's like scale it back. I feel like given for how soft the image is, The contrast on her face is a bit much. Like especially you end up getting like really strong like saturation on her face. So I'd like to see the contrast on her face and the saturation on her face brought down just a little bit. Um
Yeah, the face looks a little orange to
yeah, it
me.
is. It doesn't feel like super bad just because like the rest of the image is very orange, so it kind of works in that aspect. But like the biggest problem I have is maybe just in like the shadows. The highlights aren't all that saturated, but the shadows are like super saturated on her face. So like just bring down that saturation a little bit and the contrast a little bit on her face. Um, that highlight on her nose feels a little bit weird to me though, because like when you look at it informationally, like everything on her face is like in the orangish red colors, and then you get to that highlight on her nose and like the eyedropper tool, I'm sampling it just to like confirm, and it's like in the like purples. So
Oh, really?
like yeah,
Wow.
like that just like it was something that like when I zoomed in, and probably not going to be able to see it on stream. I can screen share. Hopefully that will make it read a little bit better. But like just that highlight feels like color wise, like everything is pretty orangish in this image. But then on the nose, we're getting this almost like purple color information. See, it's like right about there, and everything else is like in here. That's pretty nitpicky, especially since like when you're viewing it full screened, it's not like
Yeah, you won't even see that
yeah.
honestly. Like if you're
On the
zoomed
web.
all the way out.
This is the kind of shit that I worry about in my own photos. So that's just more or less why I'm sharing it here. Like in the grand scheme of things, for like posting this photo online, it doesn't freaking matter at all.
Yeah. The one thing that I wanted to bring up in particular is that several of these overlays are kind of they're on the cosplayer's head. They're just like all kind of showing up at the same time on
Yeah.
the head, if that makes any sense. Like there's like a lot of stuff happening up here.
Well, there's like the lens flare, there's the dust, there's the.
Yeah. So maybe I would say I would personally mask out kind of those effects anywhere near towards the face. I tend to do that in my own work, just so the face is clear. But yeah, I think that's one thing I had to add to that.
Um, you guys got any thoughts on this one beyond what we've already said?
No.
Cool.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. This one is by Maddie. Neil, do you want to lead us off here?
Oh yeah, hold on 1 second. All right, this is the Bakugo one, right?
Yeah.
Bakugo, angry boy.
The angriest boy. All right. So I guess right off the bat for me, so the image is fine, technically speaking. I want to say that the pose is a little. It needs more, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I feel the cosplayer is just kind of sitting there and then reaching their hand out, and then that's pretty much it. Um, I think, as we said with a couple other images before, a more dynamic pose would help this image immensely. Like, say, if the cosplayer was kind of lunging forward with the hand out.
Yeah, I think if it, like her hand that's on the ground was kind of like behind her, and like it looked like her momentum was going forward, I think it would work more.
Yeah, I'm like also looking at the chat. Yeah, so Love Live Sif says the fingers are saying hi when they should be saying fight me. I think that's actually like a perfect way to like sum up the pose.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also think it's more like the expression on the face. I think it's almost there, like there's like the smirk is there, which I really like. Um, but something about the eyes aren't like really communicating to me kind of as much aggression as I would like them to be, which is hard because I feel like a lot of times that ends up being squinty and that doesn't end up looking good. So I'm not saying that's an easy task, but
Trying to see. Other than that, I actually don't mind. I actually kind of dig the color grading for this. It looks
The art
like,
is really nice.
yeah, it's a very like the photo is very neat. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. All my photography terms are just kind of leaving my brain right now. I don't know why, so I don't know how to formulate words and sentences.
what are words,
But
anyways?
the photo, like the
You
photo
are
itself, is
class,
very
I
neat.
don't
Like,
blame you for being a little brain dead.
so yeah, like as I said before, technically speaking, it's a fine photo. The color grading is actually pretty good. You got a lot of these warm tones in there, which I feel fit for Bakugo. It's the pose is just really throwing me off, and that's my number one thing. I feel like that tends to be a lot in like cosplay photography. The pose can make or break
Well,
a shot.
I think because like with Bakugo, he is so intense and so over the top that it's weird to see him in such a relaxed. Like he's never relaxed. Like even when he's talking,
Yeah.
like he's very like. I mean, obviously he's an anime character, but his whole demeanor is like very
Tense.
face. Yes, and
Yeah.
so it
Yeah,
you have that perception. It's hard not, even though we are normal people who aren't angry like him all the time. Like,
I honestly think the best way you, as a photographer, you probably could have gotten this expression out of the cosplayer is literally I would have had the cosplayer yell at you. Like, I just feel like I'm looking at it and like I'm like thinking, how the heck do we get this to feel right? And I'm just like, man, the cosplayer were yelling at you like when taking this shot. Like maybe that would work. Like
I've told people that before. If they feel like they can't let out like a natural like angry pose because like what the fuck is natural about that? I'll be like,
Yeah.
literally, if you need to scream, just do it. Like
Yeah.
I don't care.
yeah, I think I would like so much of this pose or this photo is because Bakugo is the character that he is reliant on it feeling kind of angry and aggressive, and it just isn't quite hitting that anger and aggression
I think,
quite right.
yeah, I mean, Mallow brought up the expression isn't in character. Like I photographed Bakugo once, and even when they were sitting, I still said like, can you please like give me like that angry smirk? So even if you're just kind of like chilling there, it's just kind of having the expression that he would have, which is like
A scowl. It's a constant scowl.
You're kind of being a smartass because he is. So,
I also think maybe having like the face dead onto the camera doesn't necessarily work for this shot. Like I think Bakugo, like having Bakugo like side eye the camera a little bit, like if you wanted to have the eye contact, could work really well.
Yeah, I actually can see that.
Someone comments, what if you're an ugly yeller? Well, it doesn't need to look pretty. Like
yeah, you're yelling and screaming.
that's the thing. It's just like
I'm always pretty when I yell.
We brought this up before, like because sometimes we've had a few photos submitted where like I think I've said like this person really just got really gritty and angry with it. Like that's a good thing. Like I think there's this misconception that like you have to be like really pretty by societal photography standards, but like if your character is like in your face yelling at you, like that's not gonna look pretty. But like that's okay, you know.
Imagine someone just kicked your dog. Honestly, I think what we're saying to do here, I think, is quite hard, especially because especially if you're the photographer, you're asking the cosplayer to do this thing, and you can only kind of guide them. And this isn't trying to be insulting to any cosplayer, but most cosplayers are not actors.
No,
Um,
it's true. I mean, yeah, it's hard.
so trying to pull that out of someone is not an easy thing to do. So like I feel like this shot is getting there. Like I don't fully think like the expression's not quite right for Bakugo, but I don't think it's like way off. I think like the smirk kind of is getting towards Bakugo. The eyes are feeling like they're not quite as aggressive as I'd like them to be, but they like it's kind of like a piercing stare. So I feel like you're on the right steps. And I don't know, maybe it could have been like really hard to get that cosplayer to do what you're hoping for, because like man, sometimes it's just not going to work out
So
in that
sometimes
aspect.
what I'll do is like I will like liquefy it in post to make the expression seem a little angrier. That means kind of like especially for like angrier looks, I'll try to like move the eyebrows like down a little more so they just have kind of like that more like scowl look, or try to upturn their lip just like a tiny bit, like not a lot, like you don't want to do like super crazy, but like because sometimes I'll ask people to do like a more angry look, and then they kind of do it in real life. And they're like, "This is the best I can do." I'm like, "This is fine. As long as it's almost there, I can exaggerate it more in post." And it's worked in the past because it is hard to get people to be like that in real life. I mean, I know I can't do it, so I'm going to talk.
Yeah, like I'm saying all these things. I don't think I could do this. Like
I
I
can't.
think
I
I would
already
be
know.
shit if I
Yeah.
was the cosplayer in this scenario trying to do this. So like take everything I'm saying with a massive grain of salt.
That we're saying for this photo.
Remember, we know nothing.
So someone in chat says,
No.
show us your angry faces.
No, I'll pass.
I don't know. I can't do it.
I just stare.
Yeah. Let's
See,
let's
we're
let's
already telling you. So. Okay.
with that, I
Already
think it's maybe time to move on from this photo, guys. What do you think? Okay, let's move on to the next shot.
God.
This one is from everyone's favorite Mallow.
Never heard of
Look
her.
at this photo, and you already know it's from Mallow. I didn't even need to think about it.
I was trying to come up with something that it was like everyone's favorite green colorist, but I couldn't think of something that rolled off the tongue, so it's just everyone's favorite Mallow.
I mean,
uh, right out of the gate, I really dig how the lighting is rendering the cosplayer. There's this very three-dimensional look to the photo that I really dig. Like there's just a lot of dimension to the lighting. I am just digging the highlight on the cosplayer's lip so much. Like that works just so well. Like it just feels really work well. God, why am I getting echo? The kind of how that lighting is just rendering, and yeah, Mallow says dodge and burn, baby, and I was gonna make the assumption that a fair amount was dodging and burning, but the dodging and burning on this image just is super great. I think that like black like pleathery material like lends itself really well to dodging and burning, so like uh absolutely agreed with that there. That said, how this image is framed feels a little off to me. I think maybe it's just that the crop needs to come in a little bit on the side.
like
Um, on the from the left side in.
I
Uh,
agree.
she's not quite. She's very much on the right side of of the frame. Like she is on like the right third, but there's just kind of like her hand is almost leaving the image, and the sword isn't quite balancing out the frame the way that I would like it to. So I would maybe just crop it in a little bit. With that said, the other areas in terms of how this image is framed, the smoke looks really great, and I really like you. Maybe what I would maybe try and do is really lean into that smoke effect. My least favorite part of this image actually is the background in the bottom of the photo where you can see the grass. I would love to see this image where you composited in some more smoke and maybe not fully took out the grass in the bottom of this image, but I think if you filled up a lot more of the bottom of this image with that smoky white, this image would just feel so cool. Um, as it is right now, it just kind of like to me it feels like a smoke bomb. I mean, it's maybe because like we've worked with a bunch of smoke bombs, but like I feel like I can see the smoke bomb source, and I just feel like it's poofing out this cloud, and it was kind of like zigzagged a little bit, but behind her. What I would love to see is to feel like this isn't a smoke bomb, but like literally just like some smoke that she's coming, kind of like walking out from.
Yeah.
And if you filled the bottom of the frames, I think that would feel a lot more believable.
That was really going to be my only critique, was adding some maybe foreground smoke, because that bottom left corner is so clean.
Mm-hmm. I really like the like yellow golden tones that are coming out from the top of the image, so I don't think that needs to really be touched. It's just that bottom. I can I jump straight to a nitpick?
Yeah.
Is that okay, guys? So
Yeah, go for it.
this is like the nitpickiest of nitpicks. But Mallow, we're gonna zoom in real close here. I'm gonna screen share for you guys.
I was like, I don't even know what the nitpick could be.
Got that safety pin right there. Get that pin out of there.
Oh my god. Wait. Oh my god.
I don't even know how you saw that, honestly.
Either.
Welcome to Nitpick Town, guys.
I mean, there's another nitpick.
Population Vontography.
I mean, I can see people in the background, but I mean,
yeah, no, totally. The people for sure. I would
it's not that fucking bobby pin. I cannot. I mean, the safety pin. I can't believe. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think honestly, my only thing about this photo was, as Andrew, as you said, is kind of the whole smoke effect. Just with the smoke behind her, it just kind of feels like a wall of white. And there's not really any texture in it, I guess.
I'm
Is
actually
something I could say. So I feel like if they were using the smoke bomb, kind of like go around, wave it a bit, and then just kind of let it float off, I guess.
I'm actually okay with it being kind of this white wall behind her, but the fact that it's not completely that through the image, that feels this way. Oh my goodness. Fun fact, Mallow says, this was seconds before that smoke bomb exploded and burned Beth. Oh, Lord. So other nitpicky things that I would do if this were my shot, that black pleather, like kind of by her stomach, I would just try and smooth that out a little bit. It just ends up looking a little bit wrinkly. I would use like frequency separation and just try and like really smooth that out. just to kind of get that extra like high kind of like it makes it read less like pleather and more like actual leather. Yeah, I think that's probably the only other thing I would do. I think honestly, like, it would be a pain, but I don't think it would be all that hard as long as you had more like smoke bomb photos to composite in more smoke.
I would probably just composite more smoke at that point.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. There's so many good smoke like brushes and like resources now. It's kind of like not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and maybe you have more smoke bomb like pictures. Like, generally speaking, for me, if I haven't, and if I'm smart and am remembering things when I'm shooting, I try and like get some like stock backgrounds of like the areas that I just shot in, because you never know like what something you might want to pull from a previous photo that you like, oh, I screwed up this, like I should bring this in. I have this blank photo and I can totally pull that in. This is super easy. It can save you a ton of time just by like doing a couple extra clicks of like the background or the smoke with the cosplayer not there. Just some food for thought. You guys got any other thoughts on this image before we move on to the next shot?
Nope.
Neil, you look like you have thoughts.
The pose ain't really doing it for me, and that's...
Neil's just like,
it's like
I'm bringing it.
I've been like looking. I've been
Neil-
looking at this photo the entire time. I'm just like, because I know like a couple people brought this up in the chat. Like I played Nier. I don't know. Like, if you, Andrew, you played Nier?
Yeah.
Does it feel very near to you?
It feels like, a little far to me.
It doesn't to me. It's
Stop!
because like A2 is definitely way more aggressive than this.
I don't know if that.
He's
I don't
very
know if it
placid in this.
particularly bothers me, to be honest. Like, yeah, I think maybe she should be a little bit angrier looking, but I don't think it inherently doesn't feel like her.
Feels oddly calm for A2 though. Like A2 is a badass bitch.
I think honestly, if she just like, if you gave her like even liquefied her to look like a little bit more like a scowl instead of like a like even keel face, like I think that could work. Just turn that frown more frowny.
Yeah, but that was honestly my only thing in terms of color grading. I love the mallow color grading.
I actually
the smoke
like
and the
pose
pose
for the most
Smoke
part.
and the pose.
That pose is smoking. Let's move on to the next shot. This next one is from Lucid Star or Megan. Sarah, you want to lead us off here?
This is such a fun image. Okay. First of all, love Nightmare Before Christmas, so this makes me very happy.
I've never seen it.
What?
Never heard of that movie. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
Andrew.
Like I feel like this is such a blind spot for me. I know why I've never seen it. It's because my parents wouldn't let me rent it as a kid. Because...
Okay, that's real. I had to watch it.
But then I just have never gotten around to watching it.
I mean, whatever. Anyway, I think it's they were really lucky to find this like kind of like this like Christmas tree made out of like lights. I think that's really interesting because I like how that kind of plays off of like the style of the movie. If that makes any sense, because it's like everyone's so like spoopy and like kind of tall and langly and stuff. I also really like the pose that the cosplayer is doing. Because Sally is like, she's like a rag doll basically. So I really like the doll pose that she's doing. I feel like I think this is a good example of doing a unconventionally like considered like pretty, but it's working really well and really helps like bring like Dahlia's character to life, like this cosplay to life. That being said, though, I think the composition of it isn't totally doing it for me. I kind of wish she was like maybe interacting with the tree a little bit more instead of kind of just like standing in front of it, or maybe if she was like sitting like a broken rag doll. I can't quite pinpoint it yet. Also, now I'm just realizing, she's holding it.
I think it's leaves.
Are they leaves? Yeah, I don't quite understand that.
I don't either. But then again, I've never seen the movie, so I was just like, maybe this is something
Yeah,
Typical Andrew.
I played Nier, god damn it. Give me a pass. We just talked about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think that's a little weird.
Yeah, it feels weird to me. I think it is also Flashcord comes in with, isn't she stuffed with leaves in the movie? I don't know. That's not a question for me.
I know Oogie Boogie stuff with bugs. I can't remember.
I think the biggest problem I have with it is I just can't, like, I really kind of like need to zoom in and look at it, and even then I still have like a hard time reading the leaves as leaves. Like, they just don't look like leaves. Like, it really just feels a little weird to me.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what are they holding? I don't understand.
Fluffy Fox replied, she is stuffed with leaves. So
Nice.
contextually, there we go.
Cool.
Hey, I'm the only one that gets a real pass here because I've never seen it. Both you guys are like, Andrew, you've never watched it. You
I don't
suck.
know.
Suck
Yeah,
it,
Andrew,
Andrew.
uncultured.
Uncultured swine.
You should have known. You should have had that answer. Come on, where were you guys?
Not watching it apparently.
Framing wise, I think maybe instead of like interacting with the tree, if you had it where the tree was more to the right of the frame and kind of balanced out the frame more, that could work out well. But honestly, I think my least favorite part about this image is the lighting.
Do you think the highlights are a little...
Yeah, they're pretty
Right.
harsh, especially the way like the kind of the lights coming through and hitting like her forehead, her nose, and like just a little bit of her chest. Like, I don't think that's working very well. I'd rather have this image be backlit. And if you shot this from a different angle, I think you could have had it be backlit and the lighting would look a lot better. At least I think it would. It's hard to know when you're not in the situation, but I kind of think that would be the case.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Bringing down the highlights and just a little bit of dodging and burning can really, I guess, help the image.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see a little more separation of the background from the cosplayer, like darken that a bit.
Yeah, I do like that they did bring out some of the lights in the tree. They added those colored glows. The only thing I'm wondering with this shot as to why they didn't, like, why they only picked a random few lights to do that application with.
I see. Instead of like, that would look pretty crazy though if they made all of the lights.
Yeah,
glow.
I agree with you. Also, it'd be cooler.
It'd be weird.
And this probably was difficult, and I'm sure this was a cold ass cosplay to shoot in, as it were. But I'd maybe like to see this taken a little bit later, like in the evening, kind of give a bit more mood to it. Maybe even it would allow for more glow from that tree to be captured, like actual glow from the lights. nitpicky things. Although I like the that we can see that there's snow on the ground. I do think that the bottom section of that like area there just feels a little messy. So I'd maybe have gotten a little bit lower with this angle so that I wouldn't have had that much in the frame there.
Oh yeah, I like that ground.
Yeah, it's just not a very great looking ground.
It's a bit distracting considering how little information there is on like the rocks
Yeah,
behind.
so you've got this problem, and this always happens, where there's enough snow to get us to do snow photos, but like there's not enough snow, so there's still like leaves peeking out of the snow, and it just like kind of looks like the snow kind of looks like crap. I have to deal with this. I've dealt with this all the time, so I totally get it. And you're just kind of like, well, deal. I've photoshopped
I'm so Midwestern.
No, God, I've photoshopped so many goddamn leaves out of sticking out of snow in skiing photos. It's stupid.
Oh.
Other nitpicky things. I really wish that the like power cord that's in the right of the frame was like clone stamped out.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the cord.
And I don't know why it took me so long for this overlay to like really like for me to understand
the little
it.
specks.
Yeah,
dust,
like I don't know why it took my brain so long to read that overlay, but honestly, I think I would just remove that overlay.
Well, I think because when is it ever like bright and sunny out and snowing?
Yeah, it just doesn't like logically make sense. Like that happens, but it's not a thick snow. It's usually just like little snow particles.
Yeah. Whereas this kind of looks more like a heavier.
Yeah. And they're very, all of them are blurry. There's no like, there's not some sharp ones and some blurry ones, and they feel like blurrier than the background, so it just feels a little like that. I think that's why it took a little bit for my brain to like process what it was.
All right.
Cool. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on? I don't know why I said move on, but here we are. Oh yeah, this next one is from Ryan. Neil, do you want to lead us off here?
Yeah. So, I actually really like this image.
I know. I like a lot.
So I'll start with the technicals. I don't see any like crushed blacks or anything. No highlights out of whack. Everything looks exposed correctly. From a composition standpoint, I like how the reflection starts almost in the middle. So it's kind of, there's a lot of balance to the image. And from kind of like a story standpoint, this photo I personally think would be excellent in kind of like a, one of those like storytelling photo sets that people do at cosplay. I think this is like an excellent photo for that. So I would like to actually see more from just this set and see if they all kind of follow that same, I guess, theme. Yeah. I want to say.
I'm mildly conflicted with this shot because for one, I really like the reflection. But also I feel like it's a little weird, like, because it doesn't feel like a mirror, and like I feel like going up to like a window or something and doing this pose on like a window just feels a little odd to me.
Are you worried for the people inside the establishment? Like,
no, but yes, but no.
So that is what you're worried about.
No.
You're just peeking into a Starbucks right now. You're just like, I want that.
Um, yeah, I think it's like overall, I think it's really cool. I just think it's weird, maybe that it's a window. I don't know how to change this to make it feel better. Like maybe some sort of like wall that would have more reflectivity. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do like it, but like in concept also feels a little weird to me.
I actually like the fact that it's like transparent glass because of the kind of faded
Yeah, I
reflection.
don't like in a weird way, like if this were a mirror where I think it would make more logical sense with a mirror than it would like a window, but I think it
Yeah,
looks better that with a window than it would a mirror.
wait, wait. So you think it looks better with a window? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because you got that faded look. If it were just like a pure like full on
I'm logically
reflection,
saying it would
it
make a
would
lot of sense.
it'd be a bit strong and I don't think it would look as cool.
I like it because I kind of see this as like kind of a moment before Deku is about to get ready to fight. Like he's observing the area, like kind of going back to like Neil's narrative.
Oh, that's
thing.
interesting. You see it as like Deku looking through the window?
Like
It's a moment of reflection. Ha, see what I did there? Before he breaks all his arms.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way I read it was that like this is a moment that was captured like after Deku has looked out the window, observing the situation, and he's like mentally getting ready to.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that.
That's what I got. Also, it's funny because I just watched the last week's episode, and it's kind of like they're doing like a lot of this like thinking and planning. So I think also my mindset's maybe just there. But that's how I read it. Like it's kind of like the calm before the storm moment, and that's how I read it, and that's why I like that it's the. And I think for me the window makes sense.
The interesting part, Ryan in the chat said that actually this was a candid photo, which is for a candid photo. Oh hell yeah, this turned out awesome.
Yeah, candid photos are great.
I want to know what the cosplayer was doing if this was a candid photo too, because they feel like they really are being
Falling asleep.
reflective. Yeah, they're probably just exhausted. Like, oh, I've been in this cosplay all day. I just need to rest for a second. Also,
Shot manual focus too.
Manual focus. Screw that noise. At least, especially on not mirrorless. No, I do really like the vibe of this shot. Also, the color grading too. Like the color grading does a lot to add to the feeling of this shot.
Very moody, which I think it just just helps bring that kind of like that in like that tense moment sort of.
There are some like weirder things to this shot. Like I feel like, and they're pretty nitpicky, but like the mouth being open like that feels just like a little odd.
I was gonna bring that up, and you beat me to it.
Yeah, I wish it was like closed or like maybe just like slightly parted. But like that's not enough to like really like kill the feeling. Like the biggest part is the feeling of this shot. I was weirdly so asked to do an interview recently, and one of the questions was like, what aspect do you think makes a cosplay photo stick out? And honestly, it's narrative. Like if you can nail down narrative in a photo, that's like the quickest way to make your photo like just pop. Like you can be like okay in a lot of areas, and if you nail down the narrative, I think that like can like pass over so many other aspects. Make an awesome photo. So
yeah,
props on this one.
I also wanted to bring up kind of the almost a little light coming from the hand. I thought that was a really cool little thing that's happening there. Looks like a light that's coming from the other side of the glass, and it's hitting the palm of.
That's kind of interesting. I didn't really pay attention to that. That is kind of a neat look.
Narrative.
You guys got any other thoughts on this before we move on to the final shot of the night?
I do want to say that I'm really glad this was submitted because now I know who the Deku is that I photographed. Because I was gonna awkwardly be like, "Does anyone know this cosplayer?"
Nailed it.
Pepperoni.
Nailed
Nailed
it.
it.
That's the world famous Serraro days for you.
I love hall shots. Oops.
Okay. So let's move on to the final image of the night. Oh crap! Is this another Deku?
Another Deku.
Back to back. This one is from Misk Photos. Very different vibe from shot to shot here.
Mafia Deku or something.
Yeah, Deku's gonna cut you. Contextually, I don't get this shot or this vibe from Deku, but that might just because I'm missing something. Like
It's an AU thing, right? Little fan AU.
yeah, like totally. It's like one of those things that maybe if I was like into this fandom more or like saw the fan art and stuff,
Really just fan art. Yeah.
that would make a lot more sense. But like as is, I just am like, so perspective wise, I'm gonna try and throw that out because I don't necessarily think it changes the photo all that much, or like that perspective shouldn't be used to judge it all that much. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I really like the eye connection in this photo. Like,
It's piercing.
yeah, the eyes are super strong. It's really aggressive. It really makes the holding of the knife read a lot stronger. I wish the knife were maybe a little bit lower, but in the frame, but like overall the vibe is like super strong, and it all has to do with how piercing the eyes are in the shot. There's I really like the overall color grading of the shot. I wish it was like cropped up from the bottom a little bit. I just think there's maybe a bit too much torso here. Not that's necessarily bad, but just it's all the one color that like kind of, I wouldn't say it's black, but that kind of color fills up the bottom of the frame, and it's just not like necessarily helping the image all that much. It just kind of gets lost a little bit down there. So I'd maybe crop it in a little bit, or maybe have shot this a bit tighter. I really like the color grading though. Like the color in the background plays really well off of the overall vibe of the image.
I have a nitpick.
Good, because I have some nitpicks too. So they're probably the same thing. But go
I
ahead.
don't know if this is like a weapon check thing, but the red sticker on the bottom of the dagger, I wish it was like separated or just gone. It's the old because like the color palette here is very much just like green, black, and like these cool tone grays in the background, but then you have like this hot red like dot in the middle of the photo. So I wish that was just taken out entirely, or even just desaturated. I don't care, but just toned down because it's like the only red thing in the photo. Then the other nitpicky thing I was gonna talk about, because Andrew, you pretty much brought up all the good things I really like about this photo, so I don't really want to have to that. Because this is like a portrait shot, and there's a lot of like the main focus is on the face, the wig hairs.
That's absolutely what I wanted to talk about.
Wig hairs.
Yeah. This is actually a pretty easy cleanup job too. So these wouldn't take a lot of time or effort to take out. So just spending that extra time to clean up those like stray hairs, because everyone knows Deku's hair is a fucking mess. So unavoidable.
Yeah, I'm just highlighting it for the chat here.
Because even in a smaller size, I can still see them. So it's not even a matter of like, are they gonna see this when I post this to Instagram? I mean, probably. So
yeah, they're strong enough that they read. So yeah. I'd clean them up. Um, other things, I would like to have seen this wig liquefied a little bit. It's got like
Me
a, it's got like a bit. It feels like it's losing its shape a little bit, and I mean that's just Deku in a nutshell. But like I think you could, like the right side of the image, the wig just kind of feels like it's poofed out a bit much, and I'd probably liquefy that down just a little bit. Bring a kind of a bit more shape back and have it match the other side of the image a little bit more. Other than that, I dig it.
That.
What was that, Neil?
Oh no, I was saying I was agreeing with you
Okay.
on that last point.
Yeah. I would also maybe spend some time like enhancing the eyes a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
They're
just they're already really strong, but like
yeah, you could take them like to the next level, like enhance those highlights a little bit.
Bring out the green a little more.
Yeah. I will forever repeat my praise of the Danny Diamond's F-Stoppers article on retouching eyes. I just posted that up in the chat. That's been like the most useful thing for me ever for like understanding how to retouch eyes and make them really sing. So I recommend checking that out. But yeah, I think just like some extra work on the eyes could really go far in this shot. Any other thoughts on this one, or should we wrap it up for the night?
I think we pretty much touched everything on this.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's it for the critique images for tonight. Thanks, Neil, for joining us on this last minute critique. So, if some of you guys remembered, I said Rudy B Photography was going to be on the critique at the end of episode 14. He had some a business trip stuff that came in last minute that pretty much totally screwed up his ability to show up. Neil says he is, if someone donates what was that,
$100,000 to the
if
stream,
someone
I will
donates
eat
100
a bicycle.
Okay, well, there's that. Hold them to that.
I'll do it.
Yeah, so Rudy was not able to make the stream. He will be in a later stream. We don't really know when that's going to be, but he'll be back. So if you're looking forward to seeing him tonight, sorry that we couldn't make it happen, but he'll be back. Neil was able to hold up his end, I think. And no, truly special thanks goes out to you for being able to like come in at last minute and be able to fill in and make this happen. This was maybe a bit more of a scatterbrained episode, just based on lots of situations that have been going around this week. There was a lot of changes and last minute things. So I'm glad that we're able to make it work and feel like we had some semblance of a cohesive episode, even if it had some jank, like me not muting myself.
At least your Twitch was working. Mine literally was not working half the time, so whatever.
Yeah, so
LOL.
Yeah, sorry about any audio problems we've had during this episode. I don't know what's going on. It's fucking streaming. I'll try to spend some time figuring things out, but I don't necessarily know if I can improve those very much. Once again, if you want to suggest a guest for us, I posted that link in the chat. Pretty much feel free to suggest anyone. Just know that, like, just because you suggest doesn't mean we can get them for a variety of different reasons, and try to keep it to people within like the US time zones.
We also find out that a lot of people don't have webcams.
Yeah, there's a lot of people we've contacted. They're just like, yeah, I don't have a webcam or a mic, and it's just like, yeah. So there's been several people you guys have suggested that we've reached out to that just can't. So yeah. Other thing is we're still doing our survey on the critique. So if you guys want to give us some feedback, I'd greatly appreciate it. Be honest with us. We're trying to improve.
Not gonna be butthurt. Just lay
Yeah.
it out.
I mean, don't be too hard because these last 2 episodes have been sleepy episodes. We'll try and not make them all sleepy episodes. Life just sometimes
Life just
is
gets
what it
the
is.
better.
So yeah, if you can take some time to fill that out, I'd greatly appreciate it. We're gonna go over your guys' feedback in the next episode, and we'll talk about kind of like, you know, what we can and can't do to adjust things, because we really want to make this show for you guys. Like, we wouldn't have any content if it weren't for you guys to talk about. So like, man, this is a very much a give and take. So like, feel free to let us know, and we'll talk about it. So speaking of that next episode, will feature Jin from Behind Infinity. I always want to say Beyond, but I think it's Behind Infinity.
Behind Infinity from the Tux Room. I'm really fucking excited to have Jin as our guest.
So they'll be joining us for the next episode. Let me make sure I get that date right so that I can tell you guys when it will be. It'll be Thursdays. We're trying to keep it back to Thursday schedules. So I believe, gosh, why I don't have it marked in my oh, I do. Thursday the 20th of September will be our next stream. So no, for the next 2 weeks, no streams. But to make up for that, we should be having back-to-back streams, 20th and the 27th. We're still putting together some things for the 27th, so don't like write that one in your calendar just yet, but we're trying to, and it looks like that might come together. So yeah, Jin will be an next stream when we'll go over the feedback, so that should be actually a pretty fun episode.
I say this in an episode you guys do not want to miss. This is I like Jin is someone that I've looked up to for like fucking years, like for so long, and I just can't believe we got them as a guest.
Let's see, is there anything else that I should talk about?
Neil and I are going to be at Colossal Con East, so if anyone is going to be there, you should say hi.
I'm a lame dude and won't be going to cons probably for until next year, so I will not be there. I'll just be sitting at home being jealous.
Lame.
Being a responsible human being going to fucking school, so whatever.
Doesn't matter. But yes, Sarah and I will pretty much we'll more or less be together for a good amount of the time. So if you see one of us, you'll see both of us.
Like I was like, we usually hang around with the same people at every con. So
I can't speak for them, but if you ever see me at a con, feel free to say hi. So I assume it's the same for you guys, though. No response.
What? I completely blanked out.
If you guys ever see me at a con, feel free to come up and say hi. I assume it's the same for both of them. And you guys just no response. I'm just like,
oh my god, I can just hear Malice saying this right. LOL, dead.
Malice just cackling right now.
You gonna respond to that or no? If I could flip my fucking computer table right now, just boom.
Press F for respects, everyone.
It's just you shit.
Yeah, now if you see them, harass them. This is.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay, so last things I want to do. Final, Neil, where can people find your work?
You can find my work at Mason_Hikari on Instagram. Oh my god, I only see the top, like the top of Sarah's nose and up, and she's just crying. But yeah, Mason_Hikari on Instagram, or I have another Instagram account which is just dedicated to my car stuff, which is N_bonds. This hurts. Everything hurts.
And he's also on Facebook as Neil Bonabon Photography.
Yep, that's me.
Not Mason Hikari, not to get confused.
Yeah, I always search for Mason Hikari on Facebook, and I can never find it. So it's
That's
Neil
that new
Bonabon.
stream format.
This is as you just hear that camera shutter. Sarah, where can people find your work?
On Instagram, not Facebook. Just fuck Facebook.
And Twitter, Sarah.
And Twitter. I only talk about free, so it's
And obviously, you can find my work on Facebook and Instagram. You probably know where to find me already if you're here. And on Twitch. If you enjoyed our stream, consider giving us a donation. Everything is going to go back to either photography or improving the stream. So if you enjoyed it, consider giving a small donation. It's definitely not required, but it is for sure appreciated. And yeah, I think with that wraps up episode 15 of Cosplay Photo Critique. We'll see you in 3 weeks, and I think Sarah and I are probably gonna head off to Night Land. So everyone have an awesome night, and
Oh God, I can't
see
get
you
up.
soon. Bye.
See ya.